Welcome back to the channel. My name is Alex Funk, and today I'm going to teach you how people get rich and how you can too. If you're unfamiliar with myself, I've trained people to sell over $2.5 million worth of product. I'm 23 years old, and I haven't worried about money since the age of 19. I got into my first real estate investment property at the age of 20. I've lived for free since then, and I now cash flow enough with my real estate investments that all my expenses, my basic expenses are covered. And I really haven't worried about money in the past 4 years. And 6 very simple steps that I'm going to give you today will teach you how you can do the same thing for yourself and for everyone around you. And please reteach it. And please go through these things and understand that these concepts are tried and true from mentors of mine who have way more money than I do and who are able to produce wealth at a higher level than I can at this point in my life. So step one, how people actually get rich from rags to riches. How do you go from working the 9 to 5, working that grind to actually being wealthy and being rich? The number one understanding that rich people have that poor people or middle class people do not, you will never get rich from your job. And that is something that once you understand that, you will start to pursue other avenues of building wealth and getting rich outside of just your everyday job, being an accountant or being a concrete worker or being a police officer. You simply cannot get rich off earned income. So how do people get rich? How do people build wealth? It comes from assets. And so if you want to be rich, starting right now, starting today, or starting next year in 2024, if you want to be rich, you have to start owning assets. So that means you have to either build a business, you have to buy businesses, which you can do. You can buy small businesses. Okay. There's a market online, just like eBay, where you can go and look for small businesses to buy called Biz Buy Sell. You can also own real estate. That's probably the most common way that people get rich. So what I want you to understand is step one, you have to understand that you can't get rich off of earned income. It is impossible. And if you look up the top 500 wealthiest people in the world, it's because they either built a business or they own businesses. They all own assets. And so you need to own assets. A lot of people that are not in the world of building wealth look at this as, well, that's risky. That's risky owning an asset. That's risky owning a business. Yeah. And with risk comes reward. And so if you don't want to live a life with what you call risk, then you don't get to live a life of what other people call wealth. And that's just, if you're okay with that, then that's totally okay. And this video is probably not for you anyway. Step two, once you have the understanding that, hey, to get rich, I need to own assets, you need to, okay, step two is start building financial discipline and a financial foundation. This is something that I've been working on all year, is putting the building blocks and the foundation in place for my wealth. And so things like having an emergency fund, that's one of the most important places to start. Dave Ramsey, I actually think, is a genius in his space, and he gets ripped apart a lot for his views on debt. I don't necessarily agree with everything Dave Ramsey says, but the first book I ever read was Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. And if you are unfamiliar with financial stuff and in that space, I would recommend starting with that book as well, because what Dave Ramsey talks about is you have to have your financial bases covered. No debt. Okay. And there's a difference between debt that is an asset, like a house, that's good debt in most cases, and debt that is credit card debt or a car loan or even some student loan debt, paying off things like a bed or a cell phone. When I see people have payments on a cell phone, pay the bad stuff off that you've accumulated and then build an emergency fund. And then once you have those bases covered, I believe in whole life insurance policies. I believe in not necessarily Roth IRAs, and that could be another video, but I believe in diversifying money into the market in that way, money market accounts, and having money spread so that you have your financial bases covered. But again, if you're starting at step zero, okay, step one is understand you have to own assets to be rich. That is just how it is. Step two is you have to have your financial bases covered and you have to start building money habits. Check your bank account every single day. Track your expenses. Have an emergency fund set up with at least $1,000 in it. Okay. A true emergency fund is 6 months of expenses. Another step in this is with financial basis covered, figure out what are your monthly expenses. If you say, well, I want to be financially free, and you don't actually know how to identify when you're financially free, how would you be financially free? You won't. You'll just keep working and working and working. So step 2 is you have to figure out all of the little things. What are your systems for tracking your money? What are your goals? And so step 2 is the one that I see a lot of people either stuck at or not even at, because they don't understand that in order to be rich, they have to identify what does that mean to me and what are the bases I need covered to even get there. Step 3 is creating passive income. Okay, so once you've got your financial bases covered, you have to start building these assets that are producing cash flow for you on a monthly basis. And so when I tell you I haven't worried about money since I was 19, that's mostly because when I turned 20, okay, I bought my first investment property, and I didn't buy it just to live in it. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they buy houses because they think that that's an asset that's worth buying, especially as a young person. And that is one of the most dangerous financial traps that I see people make, especially my age as young people. If you're buying a house, it has to be to produce cash flow. If you're buying a house just to buy a house and think that you're building an appreciating asset, sure, but you won't see the results of that for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And so how you actually start building wealth at a young age is you have cash flow coming in every single month. And so what cash flow means is that the house that I'm sitting in, for example, my mortgage is $1,200. My revenue coming in, okay, is somewhere around $2,400. And so what I have left over is ballpark of $1,200. There's expenses that go into the house each month. And so for me, every month I live here for free and I make $800 income. So this is what building cash flowing assets does for you, is every month I know I have $800 coming in from this one asset. Then you add our Airbnb on top of that, and I've got monthly income that comes from that asset as well. And so once you stack assets, let's say somebody has 5 assets that all produce $1,000 a month cash flow. That's $5,000 a month of cash flow coming in on a month-to-month basis. And if your monthly expenses are $3,000 and you've got $5,000 coming in of monthly cash flow, that's financial freedom. And so a big mistake I see people make when they finally get into their earning phase of their life, where they're earning great income or big paychecks, is I see people spend that money on a nice car or a nice house or living in a different area or an expensive apartment. The game is not build a pile of money and then spend that pile. The game is create a river. And if you can create a river of cash flow through assets from your earned income, that's the game. That's how people get rich. And like I was saying with step 1 is rich people invest in real estate. Wealthy people, people with FU money, invest in businesses and assets that they can then sell, which is we're going to get to with the next steps coming up. So again, step 3 is build financial freedom through monthly cash flow and passive income that you don't have to work to create. Step 4 is you have to have long-term vision for your financial situation. Once you've got monthly cash flow coming in, how you actually get rich and how you get FU rich, where you never actually worry about money, is you have long-term vision in all areas. And so I think about for myself, I know what my vision is in my business. I know what that business creates for me. I know the money, what that money is designated for. Okay. I have percentage-based budgeting where every month the income that comes in, part of it goes to this asset here. Part of it goes to saving for my next property. Part of it goes into the international market. Part of it goes into my life insurance policy. Part of it goes for paying my expenses, but my earned income from my job is all earmarked because of my long-term vision for what I'm doing with my money. So step 4 is you have to figure out once you've got your properties, once you've got past step 3, is figure out what is the long-term vision for this business that I'm building. And so for me, being able to look at my operation that I have and I'm creating in St. Paul right now, I can see the 2, 3, 4 year vision of that and how that intertwines with everything else. And that makes it so much easier to make the day-to-day decisions because I can look at it with a holistic point of view. So for you, if you're building businesses, when would you want to sell? What would the exit look like? What do you want the exit to look like? And this doesn't even have to just be in business, but your life. What do you want your life to look like? I encourage everybody go listen to The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale from 1956. It's an audio, and it talks about you have to have goals in order to achieve goals. You have to know your target in order to hit your target. And so I want you to think about in your life, what are the long-term things you want for yourself? And then you can start breaking that up into steps. Step 5 to becoming so rich next year or this year is stop penny pinching and start earning. Okay. One of the mistakes that I hear people make all the time is trying to figure out where I can cut expenses, where they can cut expenses. And one of the things I learned from my mentor a couple of years ago is unless you're earning, I think he always says $150,000 a year, you're not overspending, you're under earning. And cutting the $6 coffee from your budget every single month, not going to make you rich. And it honestly might take away from your happiness, which then could take away from your ability to go create these assets that will make you rich. And so penny pinching the little costs is not the secret to becoming wealthy. Your $6 coffee is not going to make you rich. What makes you rich? You have to go earn more. Money is a faucet that anybody can turn on at any time. Money is in abundance. You have to figure out how do you provide enough value to the marketplace, enough value to the world that more of that money comes to you. And so if you are creating a business that has hundreds of $1,000,000 of sales in a year because you're providing that much value to the marketplace, more of that money is going to come your way. If you have real estate investment properties that provide housing for people, okay, that's valuable in their life, especially if it's a great housing experience for them, more of that money is going to come to you. And so you need to figure out how do you turn the money more than you need to figure out how to save 10 to 30 bucks a month by getting different grocery ingredients or something like that. So it's not about overspending in most cases. It's about under earning. And the one distinction I want to make with that is if you have dumb expenses like paying off a car, that's going to keep you poor. But the $6 coffee and the $10 movie on Friday night, that's not the secret to wealth. The last one, step 6 to getting rich this year, next year, the year after that, changing your financial situation, never worrying about money again, is starting to look at life in a more holistic approach. How can you pursue more dreams, for example? How can you intertwine your health, your wealth, your happiness, your relationships, your creativity, your work? How can you get all of these things to intertwine? I don't believe life's about work-life balance. What I believe is you get one life and pretty soon it's over. And so the number one thing that I would say when it comes to a holistic approach is you got to be healthy. You have to put things in your body that allow you to be healthy. Food, right? Eat the right food, get the right ingredients, learn more about micronutrients, macronutrients, study the science of food. There's YouTube videos all over for this. Work out, be healthy, get muscular. Okay. Not only will being physically fit give you more respect in conversations, because when I see somebody who's physically fit, I automatically respect that person. Because if somebody is physically in shape, that shows a level of discipline that people who are not in shape do not have. And so I automatically know, does somebody have the discipline muscle? If they're in shape, they do. If they're not in shape, they don't. And it's that simple because I know the challenge of being consistent with working out and being healthy and all of those things. And so having a holistic approach to life of, hey, I'm going to eat the right things, right? I'm going to take care of my relationships in this area. So this is a step of being rich is you have to cover all your bases in terms of a holistic approach to life. Are you networking? Are you meeting people? Are you talking to people that are rich? If all the conversations you're having are with people who are earning $50,000 a year and spending it at the bar on the weekend, are you going to be rich? How would you be rich? You're not even talking to people that are rich. So one of the things that's changed my life is being in communities of rich people. The last retreat I was at, there's a guy there who has $1 million of liquid cash. is I think $50,000 a month of passive income cash flow coming in. I'm around those people. And so I see a different opportunity than I saw for myself when it came to money, when I was from a small town where people hated rich people. Why did they hate them? Because they weren't them. And why weren't they them? Because they just didn't know how to become them. And that's not their fault, but that is why I'm so passionate about putting these videos out, is you have to have a holistic approach to, hey, if I want to be rich, I got to be around rich people. And how can I get rich people to respect me? I have to be physically in shape. I have to be emotionally intelligent. I have to learn skills that are valuable, that provide value to those people. And so when you're first starting out on this path of how do I become rich, get around rich people and provide value to them in abundance, because eventually that value will come back your way. So those are the 6 steps to becoming rich this year, right now, next year, whenever. Take action on them. Start at step 1, work your way down the list, and intertwine what you will. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, pass it along, leave a comment, your favorite part, comment what you want to see next. I appreciate you being here. Start living your dream life, build your dreams list, pursue it, and we'll see you next time.